Hello and welcome to another episode of Double Barrel Gaming. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and for today's video, I'm going to be talking about two things. First is how Digital Foundry got the analysis wrong for 34 Big Things arcade racer Redout, and how legal action was threatened by the small indie developer. The second is a video by Richard Masucci of Review Tech USA fame, who called out 34 Big Things for threatening the legal action and defending their product. On January 6th, Digital Foundry did a video analysis of the arcade racer Redout by the indie developer 34 Big Things. In that analysis video, Digital Foundry concluded that the Xbox One X version was running significantly worse than the PlayStation 4 version. This inaccurate analysis led to 34 Big Things getting a ton of tweets from the gaming community. Some comments were simply asking for a patch to fix the issue, and others were downright nasty. According to 34 Big Things, they were called everything from a lazy developer to needing to get better coders. One tweet stated they had been interested in the title since it was announced at ID at Xbox and have now decided not to buy Redout. I don't think I'm reaching here, but negative press from a very popular review site like Digital Foundry could hurt sales for a small indie developer in a catastrophic manner. After receiving these tweets, 34 Big Things took to Twitter to give a statement. This is what they had to say. The nicest part of a cloudy Saturday morning, waking up to a shitstorm raging upon you, based on what we can call incompetent technical analysis at best, fake news at worst. Digital Foundry might have been a competent source of technical information in the past, but it might be currently going down the clickbaiting path. They just published an opinionated video of our game Redout in which they talk about the Xbox One X performances, frame rate, and resolution, mentioning over and over that Redout shows at a 1080p rendering for the Xbox One X version. This is a pure straight lie. The Xbox One X got an enhanced update a couple of weeks ago, which brings 4K rendering with dynamic resolution scaling to everyone, whether you own a 4K TV or not. More specifically, we managed to scale the resolution between 90% and 50% of native 4K, which means that the resolution goes from the upper limit of 3456 by 1944 to the lower one of 1920 by 1080. This was also confirmed by VG Tech. More technical details on this will follow in the next days when everyone will be back from holiday vacations, but meanwhile, let us spell it out. It's not 1080p. The developer continues with, as many users have reported, there are still some frame rate hiccups where the game can't keep up with the 60 FPS and then significantly drops below the 45 plus threshold, which is something we are aware of and are very sorry. This happens more frequently where many AI opponents are factored in, while it's close to non-existent on time attacks, solo races, and races with fewer opponents. We are aware of these issues and will keep working on those as long as possible. By saying that Redout renders at 1080p is plain false. This, combined with the fact that some players seem to be highly sensitive to the Xbox versus PS4 performance tug-of-war, caused a rain of negative comments on our heads, all based on wrong information. We are currently looking into legal action to defend our public image. Not only because we dislike being called lazy or incompetent, but also to send a message to the industry and its players. Game devs, indies especially, are amongst the hardest working people that I know, to the point that burnout and crunch culture has become widespread. 34 Big Things finishes up the statement by saying, really, just stop calling them lazy at the first hiccup. And to not fabricate excuses for calling them lazy, okay? Thank you. Not only was that statement professional, but written with absolute class. Bravo to 34 Big Things. Not only do I agree with 34 Big Things about considering legal action, I applaud them for it. For far too long, people on Twitter and YouTube have gone unchecked about saying whatever they want, hurting people or companies, and think that that type of behavior is okay. Truthfully, I hope 34 Big Things does in fact take legal action against Digital Foundry. If you're going to be doing analysis on a particular product, then you better make sure that the information you're putting out there is correct. Sales are important to a small indie developer like 34 Big Things, and putting out the incorrect information could curb sales, potentially putting the company out of business. Now for the second part of today's video, and that is regarding the recent video by Richard Masusi of Review Tech USA fame. I've watched several of Rich's videos in the past, and for the most part, liked what he had to say, but today, he got it wrong. The video in question was titled, "A Developer Wants to Sue Digital Foundry," and it was posted on January 11th, 2018. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but why I'm aggravated about Rich's video is that he starts off with saying how much he's a fan of Digital Foundry, and that he proceeds to say he's not white knighting for them. This is where I believe Rich gets it wrong. He insults 34 Big Things by calling them whiny bitches and that they should simply move on. He continues by saying, "You're going to get hate on the internet, and if you can't take it, then you should get out of the business." He follows all of that up by saying, "Going after Digital Foundry is awful." Here's my question to anyone that is watching my video. Why shouldn't people who do these reviews or analysis be held accountable? Why is it perfectly acceptable to potentially damage a company's IP by giving the wrong information? Sure, Digital Foundry pulled the video and publicly apologized for the mistake, but is it enough? Digital Foundry stated they were going to re-review Redout and post an updated analysis. As of January 12th, Digital Foundry has not done the updated video. What I find truly laughable here is that Rich is taking the loss of sales for a tiny indie developer so lightly. These losses could potentially equate to layoffs or even the closure of the studio. Maybe if Rich was responsible for writing the checks to the people working at 34 Big Things so they could take care of their families, he would take the situation a little more serious. I expect better from you, Rich. You are a professional, so please act like one. Now for my favorite part of each and every video, and that is the community spotlight. Today I'm going to be talking about Super G. Super G is an old school cat like myself. He's been gaming since the 80s, where he was introduced to the Nintendo Entertainment System. His first game he ever played was Burger Time, and he loved it. It goes to show you how important the Nintendo Entertainment System had been to gaming. Just about everyone you ask tells a Nintendo-type origin story, and that's pretty damn cool. His two greatest gaming moments came when he beat Demon's Souls on the PS3 because it was the hardest game he had ever played, and his second was getting 100% completion in Mass Effect 2. Talk about dedication. His favorite gaming console of all time was the PlayStation 2, and who can argue with that? The PlayStation 2 had some of gaming's most memorable titles. His favorite gaming franchise is The Witcher, and with the recently released 4K enhancement patch for the Xbox One X, you can bet that he'll be returning to the gigantic world of The Witcher 3. Super G owns every current console, but his system of choice is the Xbox One X. Also, he has extremely high hopes for 2018, and these are the games that he's most excited about: Sea of Thieves, Anthem, God of War, Spider-Man, and Metro Exodus. And Super G told me, with all of these recent Xbox leaks in the past few days, he's super excited to see what Microsoft brings to the table in June at this year's E3. Super G is someone who supports many different podcasts by listening to them and also being very active in the chat. Here's a list of some of Super G's favorite podcasts: BGST, Crossfire Podcast, Xbox Nation, GRG, the Beastfire Podcast, and last but certainly not least, the RDX Podcast. He is also on a weekly podcast himself called the Smash Podcast, which airs on Saturday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Super G is in the process of producing his own content on YouTube, so be on the lookout for that in the near future. Please consider giving him a follow on Twitter at super_G and subscribing to his channel once it goes live later this year. Thanks for watching today's video and supporting my channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed today's content, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Every like and sub really help the channel grow. Thanks again and have an awesome weekend.